Hey,
Okay.
Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color?
So you're not asking for this, but I always said white was my favorite color. And then the number of times that people respond, that's not a color. You're not allowed to pick that one. Then we have a, philosophical debate about what makes a color. This has happened frequently in the course of my life. So, but I always said when I was a kid, because I was a smart aleck, I said the reason I like white best is because it's the combination of all the colors, you know? If you split up white light, you get the rainbow. So I win because I've got all the colors. That was what I thought.
Tell me more about this philosophical debate about what makes a color a color.
Well, somebody who I've heard this from a couple people, I guess. They said that there's a difference between what is it? It's like hue and so there are these terms, and maybe like even on your computer, you got these different terms for how you can adjust the colors. So you've got not density, saturation, and hue. And so like uh, what would be totally white is not um, any given color, but it's just like no saturation or what? Yeah, I think that's what it is. And so it doesn't actually qualify as a color. It's a variable that you can adjust given a color. How white is it, right? But it's not a color in itself. That's the that's the thing. It's not truly philosophical. It's just a matter of terminology, semantics.
I mean, what else is philosophy other than defining the terms?
Right. So I'm a common sense philosopher, and if I showed you a piece of paper and I said, "What color is this?" you would say white. So there you go.
That's true. Enough said. So it would seem that Esau's favorite color is definitely red,
Do you think that? Do you
or
think that
at
he
least
got sick
everything
of
about
sick
him
of
is
that?
red.
That's right. I wonder if it was like mom and dad said that about him when he was born, and he never lived it down. He's like, I'm always the red guy.
Well, so if he hates it so much, though, why is he making red stew?
Well, wait a minute. Jacob makes the red stew, right? And Esau wants to
Well,
eat it.
well, that's that. Okay, that's true. Now, okay, good catch. My bad. But Esau does say, "Let me eat some of that red stew." I
But
mean,
can't you hear it though?
it's
I mean,
very. I can totally hear what you're saying now. He's like, "Why'd you have to make it red?"
It's like, this is gonna be my last meal, and you had to make that stinking red stew. Oh man, and wouldn't it be great if if this was like a point of contention, a bone of contention between Jacob and Esau? Jacob knows that Esau hates it when mom and dad call him the red boy, and so Jacob's making a red stew today just to kind of needle him.
I I mean, I like that. Obviously, that's speculation, but I kind of like it a lot. Um, let's. I mean, there's got to be something more here to the color, though, right? Like we didn't really talk a whole lot about the spectrum on the rainbow. I don't think back when we talked about the flood, but the biblical color spectrum is very compelling, where the colors show up.
Yeah, yeah. What else do we get? Give me the survey of what you've got for colors.
So certainly, Genesis 2, right? You've got the gold and Havilah, and then you've got what was the name of that other stone? The
Bdellium, onyx, and
the
bdellium.
bdellium.
Yep.
Yep. So bdellium is white, onyx is black. So I do remember briefly talking about that. You got all the colors contained there. So I mean, that's the foundational colors, and then everything comes in between. Um, and then the next place I'm thinking of, obviously the rainbow, but then the ephod that the priest wears.
Okay. You can back up to
All
Genesis
the 12
still.
gem.
I did this. Oh boy, we've got some bad lag, don't we? Sorry if I interrupt you. Uh,
Oh, that's okay.
I had the preschool kids in the sanctuary yesterday, and I've been doing this thing with them where I say for now we're gonna use our ears and our eyes and our mouth in chapel. So yesterday I had them use their eyes, and I asked them to identify colors that they see. And of course, it's Trinity season. This Sunday we're doing Holy Cross, so it'll become red. So this will be fun as I compare and contrast next week. But I said, "What do you see?" And this is great. They all know it's green. What else is green? And grass. was the first, was the first answer. And so that takes us to Genesis chapter 1, right? Every green plant for food. I mean, green is the color of growth and nutrition.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. And then even before then, you've got darkness over, so
Uh-huh.
that's the black, and then all of a sudden God introduces color with the with the spirit and with the light. But that's very great that the first color, other than maybe blue, although what, so water isn't blue. It's the sky that's blue, right?
Yep. Yep. Water is
So what,
transparent.
before the expanse, there is, what's the color of the sea?
Well, I mean, isn't that's great? Because of course you've got these odd descriptions of things where what is it that's transparent like glass that shouldn't be? Is it a street that's transparent?
Gold. Yeah, gold and
Gold.
Revelation.
Yeah. Weird. So weird, right? And then you contrast that transparency with pearls that are opaque, but they also don't have a particular hue, right? They're opaque, but they're white.
Have you ever seen, so this is Revelation, the like a drawing of the actual dimensions of the city and how big those pearls are?
Man, yeah. That's I always think about it when we sing Wake Awake, right? Of each pearl a shining portal. And it's like that's not a pearly gate, like lots of pearls all around, but it's one honking pearl. It's so great.
Well, and what's amazing is how are pearls made, and they are made under great distress. Like you got to have a ton of pressure. And so there is this sense that the only way to have this eternal paradise is first you got to go through the great tribulation.
Interesting. Interesting. Or one big oyster. That's what you need as well.
Or yeah, or one one big oyster. Well, God can create it. If He sends a fish that big, there's got to be an
That's
oyster
true.
that's big somewhere. But so if
Good.
I didn't even think about this in Genesis 1. So it seems like the first like real hue color then would be green, which is the color of
Right.
life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's really striking, and it makes me have great affection for the common season of the year, in which God has planted and the seed has germinated, and now water and sun, water and sun and fertilizer. That's what's going on during the long Trinity season.
So this upcoming Sunday, 14th, are you keeping the pyramids green? Or are you doing Holy Cross Day?
We're doing Holy Cross Day here, uh, which I will admit is somewhat of a it's a perplexity to me. Um, uh, Mostly because the origins of Holy Cross Day are in the legendary discovery of the remnants of the cross by Helen, Constantine's mother. Uh, Subsequent to which, as Luther apocryphally says, there are enough pieces of the cross, all around Europe to construct an ark out of. So my sermon's going to be about how it wouldn't do you any good to see the wood of the cross. That wouldn't do you any good.
But it healed people, David.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that catalog of relics that they had at the Wittenberg Chapel or Castle Church? It's hilarious, the list of things. One piece of the place where Mary was born. One piece of the place where the Magi were from. And it's like this long. They had like 1,500 relics collected in their collection.
Wow. Yeah, and there's that quip. I don't know if Luther actually said it, but it's from the modern day Luther movie. Same idea with the cross, but he's like 15 of the 12 apostles are buried in Rome.
Oh, that's good. I hope he said it. That's so much.
I mean, that's something he would say. That's really good. Okay, so yeah, Green Holy Cross Day. Oh, that's the collection, the relic. So I am not observing Holy Cross Day, not because I'm opposed to it. Mostly because I like not changing the paraments, and I always do a comparison with the propers, and I couldn't pass up on the parable of the lost coin and the lost sheep.
Yeah, that's fair, and I likewise I really like uh I think that the meaty pericopes that we get during the Pentecost for you and Trinity seasons for me uh, are hard to give up. So it'd be the Good Samaritan. I think the Good Samaritan is Trinity 12, which is, yeah, it's regrettable to miss that.
Hey, that's okay. You got to do your trade-offs, but this is I I'm thinking about going this direction. Yeah, so the relics, however dumb they might be, do represent something intrinsically human, and that's our propensity to collect things. So call it relics or call it baseball cards. Like we all like to collect things. And I mean, minimalism in itself is kind of a collection, because then you're saying like these are the only important things in my life. And so if you've only got 10 coins, like those are the most important things to you. And and the great thing is thinking about like that's how God thinks about us. So you ever
Yeah.
lost your keys?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's terrible.
It's the I mean it's the worst feeling in the world, and that's how Jesus feels when he loses one of us. It's really
Yeah.
comforting to me.
So let me just incorporate this experience from this week. Long story short, I have a collection of antique pottery made by a company in Ohio called Roseville. Because when I was a teenager, my grandfather would go to antique stores and buy broken pottery and repair it, and it's pretty valuable. So like a big vase, like the one that broke earlier this week in my house, a big 12-inch vase is probably worth $400 or $500. Pretty expensive antique collectible pottery. And I was thinking about that because it was a classic 3-year-old incident. The kid was trying to do a pull up on the mantle and knocked the vase off and shattered it into a gazillion pieces. And I was just reflecting on what that means, because of course I was concerned primarily that nobody cut their foot on the shards of pottery that were on the floor. Um, but I was also thinking about the lost value. I mean, the thing is obliterated, and so there goes this value. But it was more than just the monetary value. I don't think I would ever have sold it. But it was the collectible value of it. Like, here's this thing that fits in this collection. It's unique, a unique piece in the collection, and it has the sentimental value. Um, but at the same time, I was thinking about how important it is not to be too brokenhearted about those things, because um, what I mean, compare and contrast. The vase is broken, but uh, the reason it broke is because I have a son, and that's you know that's really good. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, what do they always say whenever you'd get a fire? If you could get anything, you grab the pictures.
right, right, yeah,
Uh, but that calculation has changed since everything is digital now.
yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting when all of the infrastructure, the internet infrastructure, gets decimated someday. What will we all do?
Do you use notebooks at all, or is all your stuff digital?
Well, I handwrite notes, but then I scan them so I don't have piles of paper lying around. So all my handwritten notes are on my computer.
I've thought about that. That seems like a lot of work.
When you have a really fast automatic document feeder copy machine, you can plow through scans real quick. It's great. I highly recommend it.
So you actually feed the paper through?
Yeah, I just take these statement size sheets and I drop in the copier and click go, and it can do 100 sheets in 10 seconds. It's really fast.
Oh, that's cool. The problem is I like notebooks, and I
I
can't rip out the paper.
Yes, that's right. So that's why I'm very pleased actually with my most recent solution, which is, this is silly for us to talk about this, but is a binder that's statement size, because that's it's a half a sheet of letter size paper. That's my favorite size for writing on. It's the perfect proportions for, I can have some room to scribble and to draw arrows, but it's not the vacuousness of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So it's the perfect size, and I can hole punch all of the scratch paper that I've got. Right, so you got scratch paper, cut it in half, hole punch it, and I instantly have thousands of sheets of notebook paper that I can put in and remove from my binder. I'm sorry. This is
I, this is what the listeners tune in for.
is that it? All right. We were talking
Okay.
about colors.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So red. Yeah, red. What's the significance? Is it blood?
It's got to be so that when I'm going to be curious next week when I ask the preschoolers what else is red. That's got to be. Is there anything else that would obviously come to mind? Probably not.
Fire.
Not right away. Fire, maybe. Yeah. I don't think that would. I don't know if I would have said fire is red. I would have said it was orange. I think, or yellow. So, well, yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be interesting because that's the first. That's the first correlation for me. It also corresponds then to this a term that's used to describe David. Right? He was ruddy and handsome, and the like ruddiness is a sign of vitality because you've got blood. You've got blood flowing under your skin. Right? You got good circulation if you're ruddy.
Speaking of circulation, you ever go to the nursing home and the person you're visiting, the room is 80 degrees, and they say, "Hey, Pastor, would you mind bumping the thermostat up a little bit?" And I always say, "Can you can you wait till I leave, and then I'll gladly bump it up as much as you want."
Yeah. Well, that's how great is that? Because it does that coldness, feeling chilled, is a kind of it's a very deathly kind of experience, right? Just like the life seeping out of you. Yeah.
Now you'll love this. So according to your boy James Jordan, the tabernacle, all the colors in there are supposed to remind us of fire. So even there's blues, but that's the most intense part of the flame.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Blue, purple, scarlet. Uh, you've got that as well. Purple. It's purple. That's different.
So I don't know if you have a good answer to this, but so one of the gospels describes Jesus's garment during his passion as purple, and then another one describes it as scarlet. And is there anything theological there? I mean, they're close enough where it's not an error, right? Like you have arguments with your wife all the time about what a certain color is. I know you do.
I don't. That is a fight I am not interested in having. I know my own limitations, so I defer to anybody on color. But I'm just looking at these words here, and you've got the word for blue in the Old Testament in the Septuagint is related to a stone, particular stone, and then purple. Purple is like from this crushed insect, right?
Yeah, so blue is lapis lazuli, right? That's the
Uh,
legendary stone.
is it? I don't know that. Okay.
And that anybody who plays Minecraft will know what that is.
Yeah, I don't have a good answer for that. I'm just looking at looking it up here. The garment he wore. Arrayed in a purple robe, that's John. And then you're saying scarlet. I'm just confused there. I was looking up blue. Matthew 27 put a scarlet robe on him. Yeah. Interesting.
And I mean, obviously, like purple is the color of the Roman Senate, so very, very mocking. But we need to do our color research. We should bring in. It'd be fascinating to like know somebody who works with dyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then also historically, I mean, just think about I wonder how much it has changed. Uh what the range of a certain color is given the vocabulary to identify it, right? So one of my sons, two of my sons are colorblind, and so they confidently assert that something is a certain color and it's not. And I wonder, it would be pretty easy for our perception of color to have changed over time, you know?
This is a big discussion in Homeric scholarship because Homer describes the sea as being purple.
Huh. Interesting. We've got a lot to learn, Josh.
So so the question was Homer colorblind?
Right.
And and then there's these people who think that it must have taken a whole group of people to write the epics. So maybe this whole group of people writing the the epics were colorblind.
Which that can happen. It's genetic. So
Well, and then you get the one guy in the group who's not colorblind, and he's just afraid to speak out.
Yeah, he's the crazy one.
Oh, that's right. Um, okay, so here's my question with this Jacob Esau story. Is Jacob right? Is he righteous in doing this?
Sell me your birthright now. So if he was righteous, it would have to be, wouldn't it have to be because he knows, no, it can't be. I mean, it's extortion, right? He should just give the stew to his brother. This is extortion, right?
So the argument for Jacob's righteousness and Rebekah's righteousness later on, and we'll talk about the distinction between birthright and the blessing here in a second, but is the argument for it is that God says that the older shall serve the younger. And from that moment on, it's not whatever it takes to get that to happen, but almost to that point, if you have to do deception to get it, that's how it's going to have to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it might be that this it ends up being ultimately just a kind of a moralizing question, similar to what we've talked about before. Abraham with Pharaoh as well as Abimelech, because so Abraham you could say he makes the same calculation when it comes to Hagar, right? The Lord said, "I'm going to have a child. If that's going to happen, I have to be an agent of it happening, of it occurring." So doubtlessly, God employs the decisions that these people make in order to bring about his desired outcome, right? So Jacob gets the blessing because of his deception and the deception of Rebekah. Nonetheless, that doesn't justify it. Even if they said to themselves, we know that the promise belongs to Jacob, and Isaac's not going to give it to him unless we deceive him. It's still, I mean, that calculation is not accurate because God could work it out another way, right?
It's possible. I'm more. So were you Team Jacob or Team Edward? Seems like you're Team Edward.
I think this is a reference to Twilight. Is that what it is? I have no idea.
That's correct.
Oh, nice.
So
I don't know.
Team
I don't know
Jacob,
anything about it.
Team Jacob or Team Esau? You
Yeah,
are
right.
you are Team Esau.
I mean, I have a sympathy for Esau because I would rather be outdoors than in the tent. So, the skillful hunter, I'd rather do that than be stirring the stew. So,
I mean, you need both. Now this translation in the ESV at least, I think it's better in the King James. I don't remember for sure. It says Jacob was a quiet man, and that's not quite like the Hebrew is more of a connotation of like righteous, even perfect. He was a perfect man.
interesting. How do you get that? Let's see here. What's the word there? Jacob was a Tom. Bright, sound, orderly, quiet, peaceful, pure, blameless. Oh, sir. Yeah. Interesting.
Because the problem
Huh.
I have with the translation is it makes it sound like he's kind of effeminate, and that's not the gist at all.
Yeah, that's true. It does come across that way. Yeah, fair. We need to read it with fresh eyes, I suppose. Yeah. So let me advocate for the devil against my position that he should have just given him the stew. If it's a little bit hard to tell the tone of Esau's voice. So let me eat some of that red stew, for I am exhausted. I'm about to die. Of what use is a birthright to me? I mean, it's easy to say to read those lines in a very dramatic teenage angst kind of a way. I mean, you don't have this yet. Penelope doesn't. Does she ever say, "I can't walk anymore. You have to carry me. I'm gonna die"? She doesn't say things like that, does she?
Well, not with so many words, but the word carry is there, and then a lot of crying.
Yeah, right. So suppose that's what was going on here. Is Esau was just freaking out. He's like, he got a little hungry, and now he's hangry, and he's being a jerk to his brother. Jacob, he wouldn't be denying Esau something that he needs to live. It wouldn't be a lack of charity not to just give it to him under those circumstances. It's hard to suss out, though. I don't think it's obvious.
Well, do you think Moses, I mean, is revealing how we should interpret it with the last sentence of this chapter? Thus Esau despised his birthright.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Um, hmm. And
I,
we get that in Hebrews as well, right? He sought it with tears, but there was no opportunity for repentance.
right. And in that sense, I think that's this narrow repentance, as in he's not able to recover the birthright again.
Yes.
Yeah. Now let's bring out Calvinist David Buchs, which is my favorite version of David Buchs. So this is Malachi 1 and Romans 9. Jacob have I loved and Esau have I hated. Go.
Enough said.
I'm just trying to make you're all team Esau over here.
So when you preach on Jesus, you did this just recently. Unless you hate father and mother, right? You're not fit for the kingdom of God. Do you take that word hate to be something other than the common use of the word, as in like feel animosity towards? So very often I hear it as a comparative. He doesn't mean hate. He just means love less. How do you take that?
I think so. I think that the second form there is the Hebraic understanding of the term. So we're going to get this with Jacob and Leah. It's going to say that Jacob hated Leah, and where is that? Where is that citation? Is that 29 somewhere?
Yeah, 29:31. It says, when the Lord saw that Leah was hated.
Okay, right. Now, you got to be a little bit sympathetic with Jacob here because, I mean, one of my favorite verses in the Bible was, "Behold, it was Leah." I mean, he was just totally got one pulled over on him. I don't think he has an animosity towards Leah. I mean, do you think he's that much of a pig where he could hate somebody and then still, do the conjugal act with them?
So, I mean, the thing is, yes, I think he could, as a matter of duty or obligation. That wouldn't be uh, inconceivable. Uh, but, but so just keep this contrast though in mind. He loved Rachel. Leah was hated. Jacob have I loved. Esau have I hated. We don't temper the word hate when Jesus says, "You cannot serve two masters. Either you will love the one and despise the other." Right? Um, there we understand that it is something because the love that's demanded by the one master is an exclusive kind of love, so that anything outside of it is um, uh, is not love. It's the absence of love, right? No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he'll be devoted to the one and despise the other. And the moment you think that you can love both of them, you love neither of them, right? You are either loving one and hating the other, or vice versa. And the contrast there is between God and money, right? So you do need to, in some sense, hate money, and it's not enough to say just love it less, but not be a servant to it. You cannot serve money. You can't be devoted to money, but you must be devoted to God. So, and I think that is applicable here, right? So maybe the way to put it is it's less about affection, or like physical attraction, as you might imagine in the case of Jacob and Rachel and Leah, but it is about devotion. So he can't be devoted to both Rachel and Leah, and his lack of devotion to his wife is hatred, right? If you're not devoted to your wife, it's a hateful thing. Well, if God is not devoted to Esau, that definitely is hateful, right? He's not showing him favor.
Okay, so you're bringing it's a comparison thing, is what you're saying. I mean, ultimately,
But I think the comparison, I want to redeem the word hate a little bit more. I don't want to take as much of the edge off of it. Mostly because it's there. It's in the Bible, right? And when Jesus says it, he he could have said, "Unless you love me more," right, and stopped there. But he uses the word hate, and it's scandalous, right?
yeah. I mean, I think Augustine's ordering of the loves is right because you do have to qualify. I mean, Jesus isn't telling us to be quarrelsome, and he's not telling us to go. He's not saying go divorce your wife. Clearly, right?
Right. But he is saying, if push comes to shove, you go with me and not with not with her.
Right. Yep. Exactly. So it's God first, and then everything else is going to fall into place after that. And so it's as if you hated them, but you still love your family.
Yeah, and maybe the way to put it would be that um, because of so take the relationship with God. If you are devoted to God, your family can occupy one of two positions. One is either they are devoted with you and understand why you love God more than you love them, or they are not likewise devoted to God, in which case they do not understand. You are a stench, an aroma of death to them, and they perceive your devotion to God as hatred of them.
Yes. Okay. So could you say that Esau then hated God because it goes both ways, and we're not going to play this time game, and that's the Calvinist in you that wants to play it, but he picks food over God, and that sounds like Adam and Eve, does it not?
Right. Yes. And it sounds a little bit like Cain too, in a sense, right? He's selecting his offering, what he wants to give to God.
Right. Yeah. So that's I'm Team Jacob. Maybe you're uncomfortable with the means, but it had to happen, buddy.
Well, so here's the thing. I think that it's a highly relevant. Uh, there are lots of applications. Um, the classic case is, uh, say, a man and a woman have a one night stand, and a baby is born. And let's say that even out of that situation, there's a marriage that takes place. Amazing. They got married and they have a baby. And they look at the baby and they look at each other and they say, "We have been so blessed." And they are tempted in that moment to say, "We are so blessed." And that makes it hard for us to say that what we did was wrong, right? I can't call it a mistake because look at what I got from it. I can't call it a sin because look at all of these things, good things that came out of it. And that is, I think, the limitation of our uh, our vision for one thing, as well as our understanding of God's providence, and that like that basically every blessing that we receive in that the world has ever received since Genesis 3, every blessing is God basically preventing the consequences of sin, and giving us good things in spite of our sin, right? So my point is, God promised Jacob the blessing, and Jacob sinned. Whether or not in this case Jacob sinned, and God gave him the blessing anyways because of his promise, right?
That's true. Yeah, we have a hard time juggling two truths at the same time. Like one, it shouldn't have happened, but two, it was still a blessing. Like, I mean, the result of it was.
The result of it, yep. Which I
Right.
think that the honest reflection on that, and Jacob doesn't he do this in Genesis 30? Is it Genesis 38? I should get I'm trying to search it on my computer, which is silly. When he is on his way back to meet Esau, not 38. What is that? That's not nearly that late. Jacob returns to Bethel,
Yeah,
35.
30,
He
33.
prays. Oh yeah, 33. What does he say in his prayer? It's a great prayer. 32. Man, I got my chapters all screwed up. Jacob wrestles at Peniel. Maybe I'm thinking of where does he pray? Yeah, there we go. 32 verse 9. Oh, I mean, then that's the faithful prayer. I'm not worthy of all these things. and he certainly knows whether his motivations were were pure and blameless.
That's yeah, that's true. It's not clear to me if that's like, commenting on the specific thing that he did here or like a general confession, but it all goes together.
Fine, fine.
I see what you're saying though. I mean, obviously, the reason I'm kind of reacting against it is because we'll do a good act and somebody will say, well, it wasn't that good because it was tainted with sin. I was like, well,
Yeah, agreed. I don't think that I agree that that's a bad reaction. But uh, lying, taking your taking that something that properly belongs to your brother when he's in a weak moment. Like my kids know that that's wrong.
but
So
okay, does it properly belong to him though? Doesn't God say it's supposed to go to Jacob?
okay, that's the question.
Yeah, right. And so, okay, now let's talk about the birthright and the blessing, because they go together, but they're two clearly distinct things. So it seems that the birthright is the material inheritance, and then the blessing is unique, where that's the passing along of the messianic seed.
Right. Yes. Um, and also this position of authority, right? The service of your brother.
Yeah, and then what happens is those things get split among the 12 tribes. So Joseph gets the birthright. So he gets the double portion of the inheritance because his two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, carry on the lines. But then the blessing goes to Judah.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's a good observation. Uh, just at the beginning of the chapter, we had um, Abraham making this clear with Isaac, right? So he sends away to the east all of the other children that he had with his concubines, like with Keturah, gives them gifts, sends them away, but both the birthright and the blessing belong to Isaac at that point, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's get moving here. Real quick on Keturah. It's fine to remarry after your wife has died. So nothing nothing wrong with that. And it is amazing. He's married to Sarah for so long. They don't have any kids, and then all of a sudden, in his old age, he takes another wife, and then boom, they've got all
Yeah,
these
right.
they've got all these kids. And most notable among these kids would be Midian in verse 2, which is where Moses' father-in-law Jethro comes from.
Yes. And also the people who are later a source of great trouble for the people of Israel, like during the time of Gideon, the Midianites are attacking them.
Yeah, which is why it's so bad, because presumably these are circumcised people, at least at the beginning, because they do come from Abraham.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I mean, this kind of what was internecine a conflict really does characterize everything that's going on with Israel, because you've got the Midianites, and then you've also got the Ammonites and the Moabites, the Edomites. They're all those neighbors on the east side of the Jordan River and the Dead Sea, and they're the ones who are primary aggressors along the way.
Now, do you think the story of Esau culminates in the Old Testament with Herod, who is an Idumean, which is an Edomite?
Yeah, yeah, I like it. I think that's um, it ties it ties a lot of things together nicely. But like in terms of just the fulfillment of the conflict between Jacob and Esau, kind of finds its culmination there. Uh, so Jesus is the fulfillment of Jacob, but he's not snatching the birthright by means of uh, a a ploy, a ruse, but he's exercising his birthright in dying on the cross. And Herod, um, you know, he's just a boastful pretender, right? At this point, yeah,
That was beautiful. I don't know if you knew the gospel before, but yeah,
yeah.
you articulated it.
I'm learning it, working at it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
I've got two questions that came in via the email.
Nice.
We also would take snail mail, and
Mm,
if you address it to Santa Claus and drop it at the post office. It'll get to us.
The car talk guys always say you should write your question on a $20 bill, and you can mail it to 5124 Hillcrest Avenue, Little Rock, Arkansas, and we'll answer your question.
Great, love it. Okay, so first question. This is a general question, I think, about age, but Abraham dies at 175. So the
Hmm.
question was, does he more or less literally die at 175, or is this a symbolic number? That kind of idea. The answer, if you're going to read the Bible as it's presented, is this is obviously a literal 175. But then the question is, why did God pick that number for him to die?
Right. And so why? So first of all, why is it obvious? So is it likewise obvious that some of the numbers in the scriptures are not precise?
Yeah, I mean, I precise or like symbolic. So like 1,000 years would be the classic Lutheran like symbolic number, because whenever it's mentioned, it just means a really long time.
Right. So you've got those are, let's make the distinction. You've got numbers that don't even have a question about precision because they symbolize something. But then you've got other numbers that are like round, and so like Gideon's men, right? Um, it's a nice round thousand, multiple of 1,000. Um, is that was it actually the number, or was it just an imprecise calculation, a figure? My point being, we see a round number and we assume that is approximate. It's not. It wasn't precise, and that's why Abraham's age you might imagine that it was imprecise, because it's kind of a nice round number in a way. Um, but I think your point is good also, though. Like, unless we have some compelling reason, otherwise we're going to take the numbers at face value.
Yeah, I think that's the right hermeneutic, the right interpretive thing to take away. Now, the number 175 is, I mean, interesting number wise, because it's 5 squared, 25 times 7.
Right. So what does five give us? Five, uh, five fingers on your hand. What else is there?
Five senses, 5 books of Moses, which of course would
There
have
you go.
been written after, but I mean, 5 is very important. 5 books in the Psalter, all playing on this idea.
Hmm. Yeah. Five squared times seven. I mean, seven's a great number. I just heard the other day or yesterday, Anna, by, here's another great number. Anna in the temple, 84 years. 84 is 7 times 12. That's great. I love it.
Yeah, no, that's great too. We're studying Luke this year in Bible study, and Luke does a ton with numbers. 40 days at the temple, 8 days of circumcision, and then it's a really nice chiasm, because at the end of the gospel, you have the 40 days after Easter to the Ascension, and then the 8th day, of course, is the eternal day. But now we're just having too much fun. Jacob, he's 147 when he dies, which is 7 squared times 3.
Huh. Okay. Okay. I was just looking back, and Terah, Abram's father, was 205 years, which would be what? That's 5 times 41. Nothing there.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool when it happens. I think with the
Yeah.
patriarchs, I mean, with the patriarchs, there's definitely something going on there with Abraham and Jacob. Notably, Isaac dies at 180, which is 5 more than 175.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So if somebody was like, uh, why? Why should I bother paying attention to this? What do I have to gain by noting the number? What does God want me to gain from telling me that it's 175 years?
I mean, I think these numbers are, especially, you could call them blessed numbers, I guess, like displaying God's providence, completion. Abraham lived a totally blessed life.
Right. A good old age.
Right, and that's what it says.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking about uh, how you could say that about certain qualities of life, which you could also correlate then with the number of years that somebody lived, right? So that 190 years would not be a good old age. if it had been a unrighteous life. But 175 years is a good old age because it was righteous, and that righteousness, that providence blessing of God is reflected in the number of years that he lived, right?
Right. Yeah. So same thing with, I mean, on the other end of the spectrum, Jesus only lives on earth for 33 years. But is there a more better life than that?
Yeah, right, right. Hmm, that's good.
Okay. Second question, if I may,
Uh-huh.
was what does it mean that Abraham returned to his people? And this is
8
verse
was
8,
gathered to his people.
gathered to his people. Yeah. What do you got?
I mean, it sounds like a euphemism to me for buried among the tombs of his ancestors.
Yeah, I think that's pretty easy. Um, there's something theological about it though that, and Jesus tells us this is to the Sadducees. He's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of the living. So even though Abraham has died, he's a believer, so he's going to live forever with his people, which is that's the holy people of God. So the second question related to this was his ancestors don't seem to have been believers. So who's the people referring to?
Yeah, I mean, you could do it simply with what Jesus says when they bring his mother and his brothers to him, and he says, "Who are my mother and my brothers?" Right? Um, yeah. That although doubtless there's both things going on, right? Uh, so if we want to again go back to the hatred bit, Abraham doesn't despise his father, even if his father remained a moon worshiper. Uh, right? So like being in the tombs of his fathers would be would be acknowledging his origin. Like where did he come from? Yeah. I just would just by the by, I was looking at the Hebrew here for gathered to his people, and it's funny because in the NAS, I don't know why that's listed on my uh, translations here, but he died in a ripe old age. That's a good translation because gathered to his people has to do with it's related to harvest. You harvest the grain when it is ripe. So this is what's going on. He was gathered with the ripe grain and brought in with the harvest.
Well, that's really good, and that's how Jesus describes the final judgment.
That's right. Revelation is full of that imagery.
Huh. Yeah, I learned something. That was great. Okay, good. It's a harvesting term. That makes a lot of sense. And he was very fruitful, and he multiplied through
Yeah,
through
that's
just
right.
the one. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah,
Great.
excellent.
Hey,
Okay.
you anything grinding your gears?
Um, no, no, absolutely nothing. I've got nothing. I've got no complaints. What about you?
Well, I tabled at St. Cloud State yesterday, and it was so much fun. I had a blast. I met somebody who says they follow Norse mythology,
Nice.
and that was a fun conversation because the question was, so I give out these stickers and I got candy, and then my next question is, hey, what are you doing on Tuesdays at 7 p.m.? And a couple students are really bad liars. They're like, I'm sleeping. I was like, we both know that's not true. But then this one girl was like, well, no, I don't want to read the Bible because I follow the Norse gods.
I wonder what does that mean? Follow the Norse gods.
That's what I asked. Now my follow up statement was, and you got to be kind of a little bit witty with them. I said, well, I like the Minnesota Vikings, and that got a good laugh. So I asked, like, do you actually believe in it, or do you just like the mythology? Like, do you actually think Onan is a real god, or these are just?
Not Onan. You mean Odin, but
I think they go
Onan.
they go together. That might have been a Freudian
A
slip, but
Freudian slip. Yeah, right.
it was appropriate. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right, Odin. And she seemed to think she kind of believed in this polytheistic worldview, really, that the gods are among us, and that's why there's so much conflict in the world.
So she's been watching lots of Marvel movies, which, when you think about it, is a very attractive worldview. because it's explanatory, right? There's no ultimate highest power, but there's lots of conflicting higher powers. You get kind of the best of both worlds, and then you get to try to pick your team, and that's what you're doing when you pick Norse mythology. You're saying I like bleak northernness,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, that's true. And I told her I was reading the Iliad currently. She's like, "Well, that's a little bit different." And I was trying to think of, I mean, is it? I mean, the names are different, but it seems like the story is kind of the same, where the gods pick and choose the people they want to help out.
Yeah, yeah, that would be a fun conversation. To take a devotee and say, what's your appraisal of this other system of mythology? My guess would be that it would be kind of like, well, it doesn't really make a difference to me. That's fine that they can have their gods. That's fine.
I mean, that's what seems to happen with the Roman takeover of the pantheon. They just take the Greek stories and then rename them.
Yeah, right.
Well, cool. Well, this was fun. Sorry about the laggy internet connection at the beginning, but we want to make our listeners struggle to listen to us.
That's right. That's right. It's always better if you have to work for it a little bit. So, all
Whoever
right,
doesn't pick
good.
up their
We'll talk.
crosses and follow the CloudCast isn't worthy of being our followers.
There are very few who are worthy, just to be clear.
That's fine.
All right. We'll see you.
All right. Bye bye.